very impressive. That overhead was a little different than the one she missed before under pressure in the second set. I think the younger players nowadays have a lot more confidence.
Mom, meine liebe Freundin.
So Rick, one of your protégés back in the day was Jennifer Capriati. So tell me some of the training and what was it like to work with Jennifer as a young lady?
Well, first off, one of my favorite students of all time. You know, she came to me at age 10 years old. Her father, Stefano, brought her to me, and it was very interesting because I had another student, Tommy Ho, who was dominating the 12 and under, the most dominant 12 and under player in the history of the United States Tennis Association. And Tommy had a serve over 105 miles an hour as a 12-year-old. And, you know, he wanted Jennifer to have a serve. So they came up to Greenleaf Golf and Tennis Resort from Lauderhill, where they lived. And I started working with Jennifer. And right away, I knew that she could be one of the best players in the world. She had amazing balance and good fundamentals by Jimmy Everett, Chris's father. So there were some good fundamentals there at age 10, but the game has changed. And so what I did right off the bat, because she had an Eastern grip, that means when you make contact with the ball, you're going to hit it relatively flat, which is fine. But she came across the ball and hit side spin on the ball. And identical to Chris Everett. See the connection? Jimmy Everett, Chris Everett, Jennifer, they had the same exact, they put side spin on the ball. The problem is in the early 90s, the game was getting quicker, faster, strings, rackets, everything was more powerful, and you had to put topspin on the ball. So I did reconstructive surgery on the forehand. You have no idea. And even though the dad kind of wanted her to play like Chris Everett, okay, I said, I want you to play like the next Jennifer Capriati. I don't want you to play like Chris, even though Chris mentally was amazing. Jennifer had to be Jennifer. So everything I did technically, I didn't teach her the ATP forehand, but I had to do a lot of work to change the elbow position so she could get topspin and really grab the ball. And while I'm on her forehand, it was so funny. I'm sitting at home when she's playing Martina Navratilova when she was 15 years old at Wimbledon, and Navratilova comes to the net, and Capriati hits a topspin lob and goes over her head, and Chrissy's in the booth. She goes, "Wow, my dad never taught me that shot." And I'm sitting there going, "You're right, okay." But this is kind of funny because that's what people don't understand, the surgery and all the work that went in to change her forehand. Not that it was bad, but it was old school. It was more like 70s, 80s, and this was going into a whole nother direction. So once Stefano bought in, and then it just opened up a whole nother level with Jennifer. Her backhand was world class. It's like the ball was on a string. It was already locked in, poetry in motion. But one thing I changed, she was like, I don't know, when she was maybe like 12, she was like 5'4", 110, solid little girl. I got her to play right on the baseline, never back up. And that's really the staple of my teaching. I teach people to control the center of the court, don't back up, you know, don't give up ground. And so I wanted her to use that great hand-eye coordination and her ball striking ability so she could dictate and run the show and not let people dictate to her. So I moved her up to the baseline because she was playing far behind the baseline, just trying to keep the ball in play. That ship has sailed. If you got to play defense, then you're going to be back there, you play defense. But don't build your game around that. So I got her to take the ball right off the bounce. What I say, take it on the rise, give them a surprise, and tear out their eyes. You know, I wanted her to take it right off the bounce. So that being said, that mindset changed her whole game because she already had now a great forehand, a great backhand. Now she was controlling the center of the court. Everybody else is playing checkers. She's going to be playing chess. But the real big ticket item that I had to do with Jennifer, her serve was a nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, she just was trained to get the ball in, down together, up together. It was Cupcake City, Lollipop Central. You know, just get the ball over the net. And so I had to do where she'd take the ball and snap it off the ground. We'd do 100 a day. They were called wristers. Dip it, flip it, and rip it. Okay, I had her doing all these exercises. I had her throwing rackets over the fence. I had her hitting balls, launching into the sky like she was going to the moon. I had to make her fluid. Okay, I had to get her like Linguini. I mean, she wasn't the Tin Man, but she wasn't the Scarecrow. I had to loosen this girl up. But that's what made her so solid on the ground. She was very compact and organized. There wasn't a lot of creativity. Say like the Williams sisters, there was a lot of movement. Jennifer was more compact, but on the serve, you need a little shake and bake. You need a little rock and roll where you can flow. So I tossed the ball for her to expedite the learning curve so I could get that arm like a noodle. And her serve went from a disaster to being 112, respectable, but more importantly, not a liability. Not a liability, okay? And one of the biggest things, mentally, I work with all the kids, okay? And what I say, how I say it, how I look at the world through a different lens, not only in the game of tennis, but life. I'll never forget when Jennifer made her comeback and they gave her the microphone and someone asked her a question. And I was sitting in the stands with Stefano, and right out of the bat, she goes, well, if you believe, you're going to achieve. And if you never doubt yourself, you can do it. It was almost like she was quoting Rick Macci, and it brought tears to my eyes because I'm going like, I never knew she felt like that. But then again, to become #1 in the world or top 10 in the world when she's 14, you have a little hiccup along the way, then come back and win 2 Grand Slams. What that means is one thing. Forget the mental fortitude. She has firepower. She has missiles from North Korea on the forehand, the backhand, the serve's respectable. So she could go right back through the field and play through anybody because she had the weapons. And that all started at age 10 years old.